Welcome to the Startup Support Surgery podcast, where we light the entrepreneurial spark in medics and healthcare professionals. Join me, Dr. Jo Watkins, GP, business coach and co-founder of The How People, on a journey to discover where your medical know-how meets the business world. This will help you find some clarity on how to balance work, passions and family so that you can gain more freedom and control over your life, but also continue to help people, which is actually why most of us went into medicine to start with. Embarking on this entrepreneurial adventure is not easy. It is a roller coaster of emotions, but it's hugely rewarding and exciting in the process. Drawing on my 20 years of blending medicine and business as a GP, I am here to share experiences, insights and lessons. Expect lively chats, expert interviews and real-life stories from medics who have taken their own path. Let's break free from traditional healthcare norms and explore more innovative ways of making a real difference to people's health and well-being, along with paving the way for a brighter future for us as healthcare professionals. Oh, don't miss my free PDF called From Stethoscope to Startup, which is an 11-page guide in the show notes full of practical help and advice. This is your roadmap to kickstarting your journey with us. Enjoy the show. I'm delighted to be able to interview one of my clients on the podcast today. Fiona McHardy is a GP trainer, a yoga teacher and life coach with a passion for helping people re-find balance, joy, and find a little breathing space in their busy lives. As a partner and appraiser, she sees firsthand how stress and overwhelm can really take their toll, and she loves blending modern medicine with holistic practices to support both her patients and her fellow healthcare professionals. Beyond the consulting room, she brings well-being to life through yoga and retreats on the beach, in-person sessions in a beautiful barn, and she does all sorts of nourishing, amazing things with the people that she works with. She really believes in the power of movement, breath, and reflection. When she's not wearing one of those many hats, she's also a busy mum of 3, navigating the beautiful family chaos that we all do, trying to squeeze in as much time for the things that she loves: walking, cycling, and finding great spots with great food. Fiona's random fact for today is actually one of my favourites so far. Fiona is a qualified tap dancing teacher. Is that seriously true?
That is seriously true. Truth or lie? It is the truth, honestly.
You're an active qualified tap dancing teacher.
I'm an inactive qualified tap dancing teacher.
That is brilliant. I'm sure it comes in handy on your retreat sometimes.
Yes, if we feel like a little tap rather than a little flow, we can tap.
I love it. Brilliant. Well, I want you to take us right back to the beginning, Fiona. I want you to tell me, you're a GP, you now do a lot of yoga, you run retreats, you do all sorts of things in the health and wellbeing space. So tell me a little bit about your journey to where we are now.
So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's a long and winding journey. I don't want to witter on too long, but I guess about 10 years ago, I hit a really stressful period in my life. We moved back to North Yorkshire. I moved jobs, so it was all good stuff, but I was just hit by like quite a wave of anxiety that I never took any time off, but I probably should. But like a classic medic, just kept on going to work. Like I literally felt like I was hanging on. Anyway, during that, like I've always been active, but during that time I found yoga, or yoga people would say yoga found me. And I started practicing yoga, and I just found that in that time of constant anxiety, I just found a little bit of peace and calm. So for a few minutes in my day, and I was like, why does it work? Why does putting my body in the shape of a downward facing dog, like in an A shape, why does that make me feel better? I run, I walk, I do all of the things that we tell people to do, but why yoga? And for a while, it didn't matter why, because I was like, it's working, so I'm going to keep doing it. But that why stayed with me. And a couple of years ago, I travelled to Bali and did my yoga teacher training. Not because I wanted to teach, because I wanted to understand some of the Eastern philosophies and Eastern ways of thinking about the body and the mind. And from there, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to teach. I felt like I wanted to like give something back. Actually, I felt like I need to share this, and here I am.
Amazing. And you are still a GP as well, is that right?
Yeah, so I still like being a GP, like the rest of us. There's a lot of it that is we shouldn't share swear should be on podcast, but it's
Oh,
annoying.
you
There's
can swear
lots
on our
of
podcast.
there's a lot of shit, isn't there? Like there's a lot of organizational change, a lot of frustrations, but like fundamentally that thing of the patient coming into the room, closing the door and sharing their worries, whether it's a worry of their sore throat or a worry of their cancer, or they're dealing with their parent, their partner, their someone dying, it still feels a privilege to be in that space with an individual and try and help them. So I still like general practice. I still love general practice. I value it, but so this isn't a way out of general practice for me. This I'm doing this because I feel like it's important and necessary,
Yeah.
and I love
And
it basically.
yeah, and you love both aspects. And I remember you're one of those people, I remember exactly where we were when we had our first conversation. And I remember you talking about that, your passion for the Eastern philosophies and the stuff that you've learned and bringing that into the Western medicine and how you can do that, how you can bridge that gap and how you can help people, which is really hard in a 5-10 minute appointment, isn't it? How have you managed to kind of fuse those things, or are they very separate parts of your life?
So lots of my patients know that I'm into Eastern philosophies. And I don't know if you have you watched that apple cider vinegar on Netflix?
No.
It's really interesting because that goes into like the extreme of like alternative practices. And so that's about people with cancer not having conventional treatments. And I 100% believe in Western medicine as well. But I think there's a lot that can complement from the Eastern side, and more a way of living and remembering that deep down beneath all the layers of what's happening to us, at our core, we are actually content, joyful people, and we lose touch with that when we're constantly giving out, busy, doing, caring. So for me, that's reminding people of that and what do they need to get to that. Sometimes like we can't be there all the time, but helping people to get back to their true nature when they can, and reminding them that it's always there, like it's just covered up sometimes.
Mm, amazing. I love that. So tell me about how this developed from, the teaching, going to Bali, wanting to give back into the business that you have today.
So you've like been with me along this journey. I was like a classic GP medic at the start. I was like, well, I want to do everything. Like, I've got a little interest in obesity, so maybe I could do like obesity. Maybe I can teach yoga. Maybe I can do coaching. Maybe I can do all of it. And you're like, just choose one thing. Just choose one thing. Just niche. And it took me bloody ages, didn't it? Like, I'm more than a year into this with you, and it's been amazing. But it's like little seeds that just for me have taken longer to grow than they have for some other people. I think partly it's because like I'm working pretty much full time as a partner as well, but the whole process is very much a learning journey about yourself as well. So yeah, I set off trying to do some coaching and teaching yoga locally, and I still teach my local yoga classes, which is like the highlight of my week. I love it. But I've given up on the coaching because I think it's very populated space. It's a very competitive space, and I've realised it doesn't really suit my personality. I'm a bit like to sit with one person for a whole hour. I find it quite intense. And right at the start, you say, what are your values? What do you enjoy? What do you like? And I'm like, I like helping people, but for me, that's quite hard. I'm really drained by that. So yeah, so now I've like come, I think right at the very start, you're like, Fiona, why don't you get on Facebook? and just set up a group and teach a bloody yoga class. And
Did I?
honestly, it'll be more than 12 months ago. Anyway, 12 months later, I'm doing it. So we started on Tuesday, the next one's on Sunday. We're doing a 6-week course. We've got like nearly 200 people on my like email list. I had over 30 people turn up in person on Thursday. So like it's really amazing. But I don't know why it
That
took me so long.
Well, it took you so long because that's normal, and it's very, the process does take time, and you talked about sowing those seeds, and it's like learning a completely different language, and you are not the only person to struggle with that concept of the fact that we can help everybody, and we do have all of these sort of things that we could do, but the more specific and niche you are to start with, the easier it is to get traction. And that's what, if you'd had this experience 6 months ago, then you might have felt differently. But equally, you've probably had this experience because of what you've done over the last 6 months. So it's a bit of a chicken and an egg. So don't beat yourself up about it, because you've now been able to go out there confidently and say, this is what you need to do. Scan this QR code, fill in this form, join this group. I'll turn up on Zoom and I will do this. But tell us about this group, because it's quite specific, isn't it? So what is it that you're doing?
So it's a 6-week course for medics and healthcare professionals. So basically anyone who spends their life giving out, holding space, caring for others. Because I think we're unique. Well, there's quite a lot of evidence, isn't there, that we go into these professions because actually what we really want is for somebody to take care of us. But we don't. We take care of other people, and we're excellent because we know what we feel we need and we give that. But it's draining, it's exhausting. So this is just a 6-week course for people who are holding space for others to come back to themselves, where I'll guide through gentle, simple yoga practices, and we'll remind ourselves that that happy, chilled being is still there inside of us.
Wonderful. And hopefully we'll link your details up in the show notes. And then next time you run a course, hopefully people will be able to jump on your
Yeah,
newsletter.
and like actually if people want to join now they can. It's not like a building up course, it's 6 weeks. Come and go as you please. If you're on the list, I'll email out the recordings. There's no pressure. If you miss any, you're not missing anything. So yeah, you can use it as it works for you basically. So Tuesdays are just a half an hour, bit more more flow practice, and the Sunday's an hour long, more chilled. We always have a nice playlist that you can listen to, so you can choose to do it whenever it suits. But it's quite nice if you can join live because you're like in the community then.
Wonderful. Well done. That's absolutely brilliant. I want to come back to time, right? Now, you are pretty much a full-time GP partner. Um, you've got 3 kids. You are very busy. And you touched on something which is about not growing as quickly as other people. And this is one of the struggles I've had with bringing a cohort of medics together. Who knew medics were so competitive? Who knew that was a thing? Like everyone's like, oh, hang on a minute, she's going much quicker than I am. And I'm like, slow down, everyone. Like, remember, some of you are retired. Some of you haven't got children and are not working. Some of you work 1 day a week. Some of you are full-time partners with 3 children. Realistically, you don't have as much time in your day. So how important do you think it is to allocate time to the business? How did you even manage to find time in your busy week?
So that's what I've found really brilliant working with you and being part of the community, because even though I've probably been to less than 10% of the live things, it's a constant, just gentle reminder and motivation. Like I'm genuinely not a competitive person like my children are. Well, maybe I am. People who say I don't feel like I'm, but genuinely, when I hear other people in the group doing things, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I don't feel like, oh shit, like, why aren't I doing that? but I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's working for them, so I can do that too. So for
Yeah.
me, it has really helped being with you. Your little gentle, come on, you're all right, and your like nice reassuring voice notes. Like it is hard, and just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, and giving myself permission to take breaks. So like before Christmas, it was complete. Life was just too much. I was like, you know what, I'm switching off from this, and then switching off and not thinking was what brought me back in January to I'm going to do this 6-week course.
Yeah.
That's when the seed grew in the when I totally switched off from it.
Yeah, that happens a lot. I find that absolutely happens whenever we go away in the winter and I just really go down to basics. That's when all of my best ideas happen. You allow that space for them to come in, for you to explore it a little bit, for you to just remove something from your life is important sometimes, isn't it? And actually, I interviewed Jo Hartley recently, and she was saying that sometimes, like when she was on the program, she felt like a naughty school kid, like going, I'm going to take a break for a month. Is that going to be okay? Like wondering if I was going to notice.
I
But I
know.
think most people have, and that is totally fine, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And the recordings are there as well. If you know, so the information's there when you're ready to look at it or deal with it.
Yeah. Okay. So what about the great things? What do you enjoy now about having, you are a pretty like this portfolio GP concept. Like what do you love about running your own business? We'll talk about the kind of highs and the lows. I want this to be a really honest reflection, but what do you really love about it?
So I love when I've led a class or guided a class and you can just see people's faces are just like, you can see they've really got something out of it. So that is like a real, I feel like, yeah, that is why I'm doing this. So that in terms of what I'm doing with the yoga. In terms of the business, what I've really loved is meeting all these most amazing people that like I never would have come across. It is like open my world in a way that I never knew there was anything missing. Like my life, like you say, my life is full, I'm happy, but I've met like you and Bex and Emma and Joe and like and Portia and like all these just amazing other human beings that they just I wouldn't have met. And you know, being part of other groups and yeah, for me that's been like the
Yeah.
best bit.
Yeah. It's like finding your tribe. It's cheesy, but it's true,
Yeah,
right?
100%. I'm like, oh yeah, there's other crazy people like me out there.
Other crazy medics with harebrained schemes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
my university friends are delighted. They're like, "Oh, great, you found some other crazies to talk to about this stuff. We can stop bending our ear about it." Amazing. What about the struggles? Your full-time partner, 3 kids. We've said it before, but that can't always be easy. What are the difficult things?
So yeah, the difficult things are time. I sometimes feel like I'm doing everything badly. You know, I'm at work thinking, shit, I need to get home for the kids. I'm with the kids thinking, oh, I really want to do some stuff on Instagram or well, not all the time, but do you know what I mean? I want to do some stuff on the business. I'm doing the business, feeling a bit guilty that I should be with the kids. So it's I guess it's like always trying to find that balance. But for me, even without the business, life's busy, like you like that anyway. You know, when you work and when you have a family, or even if you don't have a family and you work, you're always trying to find that balance, which is rarely in balance. You know, where it
Mm,
often just so yeah, feeling spread too thinly is tricky.
mm. And what made you? I'm trying to think back because I think you applied for a grant, didn't you? So didn't
Hmm.
you apply? Yeah. So tell us about that because I think that's something that people overlook. The potential when you are starting a business, there are potentially pockets of money available that you can use for business coaching and business development. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my grant was from the North York Moors National Park, and they were what was it for? They had grants for new businesses, and there were different criteria that you could apply under. So I applied under wellness and well-being. So basically getting tourists into the park using wellness and well-being activities. So they gave me the money for half of my kit, and then so all my yoga mats and bolsters, and I bought like a speaker because I also do yoga in the national park, like outdoors. So we do yoga in the beach in the summer. There's a beautiful farm nearby that I run retreats on. So yeah, that was
And you got the money for that?
got the money for that. Yeah, I think I got about like £2,000 or £3,000.
Yeah,
And then also they give you help with marketing as well if you
yeah.
want it.
I think it's always good to explore all of these little pockets of money. So in my PDF from Stethoscope to Startup, and in one of the, I think it's episode 26, where I go through this needing for, you need time, you need money, you need a sense of place for your business so that it's a proper thing, and you need the right people around you. And we've talked a little bit about all four of those things, haven't we?
Yeah,
And I think the money piece, you can find these pots of money. So get out there, find out your, local business networks, community stuff that you might be involved in. In Wales, there's the sort of business Wales schemes, just to be able to give you that pot to get started, because there's so many things at the beginning. How unsure were you about investing in that kind of mentoring, coaching, or was it something that you obviously had experience with because you were a coach yourself?
so I recognize the value of coaching, because yeah, I'm a coach. And actually, very randomly, someone on LinkedIn who I know, who's a friend of a friend, who's also a coach, she was like, "Oh my God, talk to Jo. She's amazing." I don't know why I must have commented on one of her posts saying, you know, how are you doing this or something? And yes, she recommended you. So that was it. And then as soon as we talked, I was like, oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, that's another example. And again, we talk about that inner circle of trust. It's in my module 5, and it's my favorite bit of module 5, because everybody says to me, well, how do you find clients? And everyone's like, do I post on social media? Like, what do I do? I'm just posting. And actually, the vast majority of people that have ever found me they haven't just like randomly fallen across something. They might have seen me a couple of times, but then there's been that vote of confidence from somebody that they trust. And if you have built a network of people in an authentic way, you've shown up as yourself, you've gone out there and said, this is how I can help people. Do you know anybody? Having that trust factor is vital, isn't it? And it's
Definitely.
also an example, I think, of being referable. I think you want to be referable, and this is where it comes down to niche as well, doesn't it? I love it in my practice where somebody comes in with a problem and I say, you need to go to this person's Instagram and you need to follow them because they've got great advice that you will be able to take on board. What do you think about that? That referability and the trust factor.
Definitely. And because especially in the coaching space, it's very, very busy. It's very competitive. There's lots of people who you read their stuff and you're like, that's cool. You look nice. Like, I like you. I like what you're saying. But there's probably 5 people that I know, like the social media algorithms show you things that you will like, but still, if there's 5 or 6, you'll probably choose none versus somebody saying, oh yeah, actually she's really good, I've worked with her.
Mm. Yeah. So being referable, not being scared. You said before we hit record, you were scared to niche.
I'm scared to niche because it's very counterintuitive. Like, you feel like if you limit your audience, you're limiting your possibilities. But like, we were chatting about this before you clicked record, how I've had a general yoga Instagram page for ages, and then as soon as I said I'm running this 6-week course, Yoga for Medics, my sign up just absolutely skyrocketed, because I niched. But I was really scared to do that. I thought I might alienate like other people who weren't medics or healthcare professionals. But no, it's mad, but it's very counterintuitive. It really feels uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think it feels particularly uncomfortable for GPs because, as I always say, we are the opposite of that. You know, there is no exclusion criteria applied.
Yeah, jack of all trades.
Yeah, exactly. With nobody ever having to go out there and find people. It's like
Yeah,
you're actually shutting the door on people rather than having to do any marketing.
yeah, it is. It's mad. It is.
So what does the future hold for you, for yoga, for general practice?
Um, So a little bit, I know you won't like this, but I'm a little bit of like a go with the flow person in the sense there's always that balance of like having a goal, but enjoying where you are. Like if you become too fixated on the future, you lose where you are now. So like I'm trying to enjoy and be really present, um, doing the yoga for healthcare professionals, teaching my local classes, but the kids as well. Like, as you know, my eldest son left home last August, and I want to appreciate, like, really be with the kids as well, because that all goes really quickly. But I think ultimately I'd like to continue with the yoga for medics. I'd like to form a community of like medics and healthcare professionals who are into yoga where we can support each other, share ideas, hopefully run us a retreat eventually. And I would maybe like to reduce my general practice a little bit so that I could put more time and effort into the yoga without impacting too much on the fam. So that's
Yeah.
kind of it. But I'm also just letting it be a bit organic and seeing where it leads me.
Yeah. And I need a little bit of a trickle of that myself. So I think that being present, we talked a lot about these on these podcasts as medics. I think we are super driven. We're often able to do a lot. Like we can turn our hands to stuff, which means that the possibilities are, often
Yeah,
there are many of them,
endless. Yeah.
endless. And I am definitely one of those people that is often looking too far ahead and not enjoying the present. So I think that is a really good reminder and message to me of something that I have promised myself that I will do. As you say, the kids grow up really quickly. And I say this to anybody that comes to me with young children or a family wanting to build a business. We need to be mindful of the time that, yes, we are around for our kids, but are we actually, giving them the time that they need? Are we really present, or are we just thinking about what we should be doing instead? And it is a real conundrum and a real balance. And it's I think just having the awareness of that is first and foremost the most important thing. I think in previous businesses that I've run, I haven't had that awareness at all. Certainly in the granola days when I was pregnant with my third, so I had six and a 4-year-old pregnant with third. I didn't think about whether or not what I was doing was helping me be with the family or not. Whereas now that is the priority. So, thank you for sharing that. And if you have any tips on how to remain present and not constantly look into the future, I'd gratefully receive them.
Well, I think it's natural that like our minds are amazing. Like our minds are amazing, and it's natural that they generate these ideas all the time. But it's like, okay, thank you. I'm just not doing that right now. But it's hard. Like it is a bit of a practice, and I definitely have not got it right. Like my kids are like, Mom, get off your phone. You're like, oh, it should be me saying, oh, get off your phone. And it's sometimes them. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yes, like put the phone away. But it's not easy and all. But also, I think, we are teaching our children. Like I have boys on a girl, but so I don't know if it's particularly about like women or whatever, but we're teaching our children, we're modeling to our own children that like follow your dreams. Like, do you know what I mean? Like we could say, and it's totally valid to say, you know what, my kids are everything. I'm not going to do this now. I'm going to wait till they go. But also it then where do you will you lose a bit, you can lose a bit of yourself in that. So it's that balance of following your dreams and modeling that to our kids that they also can and should do that. versus actually also being there. So yeah, I basically no, I don't have any answers. That is a long-winded way of saying that.
Love it. Yeah, we are modeling what is possible as well. I think, my kids are sometimes like, what are you actually doing now? And I'm like, well, this has kind of come to me. This, people have started asking me to do this. I've explored it. And now this is kind of the main thing. And this wasn't the main thing 2 years ago. So I think that's important as well, because our children are coming into a world where they're not going to be in careers for life. They're going to be doing all sorts of things. So if we can show them what is possible, then, hopefully that will help them along the way. So you've been amazing. I've loved talking to you, Fiona. I always ask everybody, and you've touched on a few things already, but what would be your kind of piece of advice to somebody setting out in business, or your early entrepreneurial self? What would be your advice?
I would say follow your heart and don't give up.
Very, 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 very good advice. So not giving up is key, isn't it? I think a lot of people give up just before things were actually going to work out. So follow your dreams, don't give up, keep going, take one step in front of another, little steps as well, isn't it?
Take a break. Like, we're not saying like head down, like hard pushing, but softly, right, I'm taking a break. And then when you're ready, just chip away, just little bits, even if you're just doing it like once a month. Like for me, I had 2 months off, but if you lose the love of it, then you're not following your heart. So that's fine. Go with the flow. But if the flow is taking you still that way, just keep chipping away. Like, jump out the boat for a bit, have a rest, and then hop back in.
Love it. Brilliant advice. You've been an absolute star. We'll link everything up in the show notes below. Thank you for your time, Fiona, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
I hope this episode has sparked some new ideas or challenged your thinking. Transitioning from medicine to business is not easy. It's about adapting our skills while embracing the unknowns of entrepreneurship. It can be nerve-wracking, but remember, you are not alone on this journey. Please feel free to reach out to me via direct message on LinkedIn or Instagram, or just shoot me an email at joe@bendylegs.com for support. And don't forget to grab the free PDF from the show notes, From Stethoscope to Startup, which is your go-to guide and resource for diving into entrepreneurship. Many thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time. Thanks for spending your precious time with me.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.